Andrea, Dead Talk is a warning about AI and how it is taking over the entire world, how it's bad, all of those things. I don't even know if we're going to be doing our reviews anymore. Are you just ready to be replaced by AI for Hallmark Mysteries and More AI version?
I mean, again, Hallmark ahead of the curve. What can we say?
It is. It is. So we are talking Hallmark, or for anyone who didn't figure it out, we're talking Mystery 101 Dead Talk. This is Eric.
This is Andrea.
This is Hallmark Mysteries and
And
More.
more.
Well, it is time to go into the third episode of Mystery 101. We do have.
Pretty sure this is the fourth, Eric.
No. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Darn, it's the fourth?
Because I wrote in my notes.
We the
I wrote this to talk to you about because the first four movies were all released in 2019. Then the next movie, Education and Murder, was 2020, which is the next one after this.
what
So,
pilot? The pilot,
mhm,
Dead Talk,
mhm.
Education and Murder.
No, Education and Murder we have not watched. That comes
Oh, that's
next.
the Steve Basic one. All right, so
Yep.
it's the other
It's the pilot, and then Playing Dead,
Playing Dead.
and then Words Can Kill,
Words Can Kill. Okay.
and then Dead Talk.
I always get the name Words Can Kill and Education and Murder confused with which one's which. Oh, wow. This is the fourth one?
Yeah. And so I thought that was interesting because I'm like, I bet this probably got a lot of steam and a lot of fans because they released four in 1 year, which they don't often do. And so I feel like that's probably why it got a lot of momentum going. And then obviously 2020 happened. So I'm sure
Right.
that's why it kind of slowed down. And then the last two aired in 2021. So that's probably what happened to that, fast track of like, hey, we're making a lot. And then it kind of stumbled with COVID.
Oh,
So
there's last three, you mean? Because we
yeah.
have we have Education,
Well,
Murder,
2020, I'm sure was
Deadly
filmed
History,
probably in
and Killer Coming.
2019. Don't you think? Just the way that they were, even if you
Yeah.
think back to Hallmark content in 2020, we had a lot of acquired movies and a lot of social distancing in the movies.
So four in a year, and then we have we not or four one series in a year. We're not even getting four this year of mysteries in general.
Yeah. And then there was somebody who sent me a DM about Private Eyes being off the Friendly app and it had given a countdown. And so you looked at it, I looked at it, and I had someone else look at it from we all had the Hallmark Plus app.
Right.
So on that, it's not saying that it's leaving at the end of June. So I don't know if that's just a Friendly thing, if you have Hallmark Plus through Friendly or what happened there, but
E-
that's kind of sad.
Now, how does Friendly work? Like, are you going into Hallmark when you're watching Deadly or
I don't know. I don't
Private?
have Friendly
Okay,
anymore. So I don't know.
because I'm guessing they have their for Private Eyes because it's they're licensing it for Hallmark, so I'm guessing Friendly's licensing it as well. So it probably has nothing to do with Hallmark. But I'm
Yeah.
not on Friendly, so I don't know. Maybe you do get to it via there. I don't
And
know.
and my other one was somebody had said that Murder She Wrote was going off Peacock, but on my app, from everything I'm seeing, I'm not getting any countdown because I'm in, of course, a Murder She Wrote Facebook group, and they had
Right, right.
posted that, and somebody had shared on Instagram, and I was like, oh my goodness! But then now this morning I was watching it and I was kind of clicking around just to see, and I never came up for me. But I also pay the minimal one, so I still get ads. So I don't know if there is a free version of Peacock. That's what somebody was saying that might be going off. But if you have a paid version, it might stay on. So again, all of those licensing behind the scenes stuff that we're not always privy to, you're like, oh, okay, this is why I'm sure it costs money, and they're trying to figure out ways to, hey, if they have enough, I mean, maybe us Murder She Wrote fans are a large base and they're thinking they'll pay. Let's get them to pay so they will stay on Peacock so they can get Murder She Wrote,
Well,
which
as you know,
100% I would do. I
I
already
thought,
am, but I would.
by the way, I thought of you when I was flying home from my vacation last week. And when I was on the little plane from Cincinnati to, well, actually, she turned out to be on both my flights, but I noticed her on the Cincinnati to Chicago flight was she got on and she's wearing her big Golden Girl shirt. And I was like, oh, Andrea would like that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Well,
and I saw an Agatha Christie game that I was like, oh, if we found a murder she wrote game, like a trivia game, that would be a fun little segment to add into the podcast. We could quiz each other and see how much we knew. So we'll have to keep our eyes out for a murder she wrote trivia game, and that would be kind of a fun thing to throw in the podcast.
all right. Well, you ready to talk a little Travis and Amy?
Let's do it. Dead Talk. This is again the fourth movie. Amy Professor in Who Done It and speaker at Teachable Talk in Seattle meets her ex there. She also meets the owner of a crime-solving software who's later found dead. Amy and her detective friend start investigating.
And her detective friend.
That's what sounds. No mention of him by name, but well, this one for me, 4 out of 5. We're back on track here. I thought it was well paced, lots of quicker scenes, no long monologues, which always lose me. That lost me in last night's Hallmark movie as well. Those longer scenes, that's just, ugh. So they cleaned that up. It was a standard mystery movie in the terms of, hey, let's bring back the X, because every time in a mystery movie, if I feel like they don't quite know what to do, that's kind of their plot go to. Let's throw in an X so we can bring up some fun shenanigans. So that happens at our TED Talks, which aren't technically TED Talks, but that's basically what she's doing. Travis having his former like partner there, not dating partner, but just
Well,
partner.
he alluded that they had a little more than just.
But would that have lined up since he had an ex-wife?
Well, that's where I was wondering. But
Like that's
Travis, we
like
can get into that in the romance
right?
minute. But Travis, but
Because
that's what
that's
I
where I was
was
like,
trying to
no, that
do.
doesn't quite match up. Would it?
I don't know because I don't know
So
how long he was. He said it was when he was a
married.
rookie, so it could have been.
We'll have to pay attention when they introduce Aaron Cahill's character to see exactly that timeline. But that threw a nice little curveball into the relationship, I thought, with Amy and Travis. Plus, I'm going to do a spoiler alert if you haven't seen this one, her turning out to be the killer in the end, which was shocking maybe the first time you watched it. If you've seen it time and time again, this is probably not shocking to you to know that she's the killer.
And once again, for a mystery that's over 5 years
6 years
old.
old. Yeah. Probably have seen it if you like Mystery 101.
Hmm.
But we're still kind of waiting on that first kiss between, Amy and Travis, which I think is fine if I'm being honest. But I can see why if you are a fan, if you're a really big fan of them, yeah, even as I wrote that, I'm like, is this true? They still haven't kissed. Wow. It does seem like they should be moving a little quicker than they are. So I know that's coming in the next movie or two. But overall, I think from here on out, for myself with this series, I think we just keep going up and up and up. So I'm pretty confident I have now turned into the corner of me starting to enjoy Mystery 101, which would also track when I originally watched this show. This is probably the movie it started to be like, okay, now I'm starting to be more invested. But again, as I had said last episode, we weren't at the college. So every time we get away from the college, I seem to enjoy these mysteries more. So keep me away and we're good. What do you think? Do we
I,
agree?
I was just a little behind you. I gave it
Okay.
to 3.5 again. I agree. I will agree with you. I think the next three are all really good. Um, so I'll get into, I guess, a little bit more in the mystery minute. But once again, John gave me my little Agatha Christie little nod with the Miss Marple with the quote of any coincidence is worth noticing. You can throw it away later if it's only a coincidence. So I love how he just writes for me individually and always has an Agatha Christie little nugget in them. So as soon as he did it, I rewound it, watched it again. I was like, oh, thank you, John. So I love the little, nods to Agatha. It was as we alluded to before, this is 2019, probably wrote it. Well, he's talking about his pace of writing, how it goes pretty fast, but he was probably ahead of the game. So it was probably written in 2018-ish. And having the whole AI thing with the crime, which is pretty topical news now, because it's, in the news for its questionable accuracy, the racial bias, and then, saying, hey, this doesn't work, which there's a big argument about that, with AI and crime solving. And then there's just the whole with, AI and what is it going to do to careers and, saying, oh, hey, this is to replace you, Travis. I did find it interesting though, where Amy does not, at the time, you just didn't really understand what AI was going to be, saying getting nuance and things like that. And AI is getting there these days, like crazily rapidly getting there. So I just found it, the whole AI topic was, going before, it was still this futuristic type thing.
Yep.
And now we're living in it. So it had a little different impact for me.
Mm.
The other thing that was interesting for the timing was, and I think Georgia sent it to you too, but Georgia and Dara from Dear Hallmark both sent me the Merriam-Webster word of the day was
Oh,
herring,
yes,
and it
yes.
talked about herring and the history of where it was. It's a red stinky or so stinky fish, and then it described how the red herring evolved out of it as something to distract you by the smell of whatever. And then having it be in this episode where she talks about the herring and explains it. I was like, wait a minute, this is what great timing for us to watch this episode.
Do you know what I thought of when Georgia sent that to me? The Golden Girls. Because I'm reading a book. So they have the Cheesecake Murder,
Oh, you are
Golden
reading
Girls
that one?
book. So I'm about 100 pages left. It's
Are you
really, really good. If you're a Golden Girls fan and you love cozy mysteries, this author nailed the Golden
okay?
Girls. And they talked about herring and because Rose, it features Rose quite heavily. And so definitely recommend it if you are interested in a fun, cozy Golden Girls mystery. I'm loving it.
Okay, so Audible is trying to get me to read it, and I'm
Oh,
just
it's
and
do
I'm
you
just
like the
like,
Golden
oh no.
Girls?
Well,
Have you watched
yeah, of
them?
course.
Okay.
Wait, we've
Then
talked about it.
if
It
you are a fan, like because there is a lot of nods to fans. Like it is very true to Golden Girls. So if you are a true fan of them, I think you'll get a
so
you'll
the
love
thing
it.
that was keeping me from it was I was thinking, oh, it's just going to be like cheesy too whatever, but it is
It's
it is
cute.
fun.
I'm loving it. Yeah.
All right, I'm about to finish my book, so I will be needing one. I will do the Golden Girl, the cheesecake one, because you know how Audible's like, oh, this is recommended for you. It's like, come on, please, please, for God's
We swear
sakes.
you are gonna love it.
All right, well, how about the mystery for you? How was that?
Ooh, Mystery Minutes. So I think that I randomly watched maybe half of this movie on one of the many marathons that they have all the time this past winter because I remembered the opening scene. I was like, oh, I feel like I just recently watched this. And then I had to go through our notes. I'm like, did Eric and I just review this one? Because I recall this scene so predominantly. And then, of course,
Him getting
we,
shot in
we
the
didn't.
couch?
Yes. And
Okay.
so I'm like, that clearly was on it was I watched half of it, during a mystery and did recall again the gal who did it, which I thought was a great twist. And it makes kind of sense. Obviously she was in a low place in her life. Could you argue and, I feel like not everyone's if they're in a low place of their life turns into a killer, but you could also see how, okay, that happens. Shows turn that into that, but her being a policewoman on top of it, I think was like the twist that you don't always see. So I enjoyed that one. I think at the end I really liked her acting choices, and I will talk more about that later. But that I thought that was just a very powerful scene when Amy
When
and
you
Travis
say
came to
her,
her house.
Tegan
Rachel,
Moss's.
yes, Rachel,
Okay,
Rachel,
Rachel.
the character's
Lieutenant,
name, but yeah,
Lieutenant Rachel.
yeah, I thought she really nailed that. And of course, she's been in lots of different mystery
Yep.
movies through the years as well. What about you?
I'm with you there. I think it was if you hadn't seen it 10 times, you'd be like, "Whoa, this is, that was not on my radar at all." We don't usually see the dirty cop in the
In
Hallmark
Hallmark?
mysteries, so I
Yeah.
think it was a really good twist. Uh, I would have liked
And the
this.
dirty cop being a female.
Yeah,
You know?
I would, and it's funny when you said the low. She was the low point when she was doing the feeding the information or whatever. She had come out of it when she did the murders. And I'm kind of with you in this. It's funny because we've talked to John about it before, and he always talks about how, oh, there are these, people who sort of get put in these tough situations and you feel a little empathy for them. And I do agree somewhat, but then I am also like, to your point, she didn't kill one, she killed twice, and we had it, last time too, where it's like you have multiple kills, so it's not just like a thing of passion. So yeah, so that was interesting. But for me, I would have liked to see a little more of the red herrings. And you're limited on the time, so I get that. But it seems like they sort of hinted like, okay, this is a viable suspect, but then they just went on to something else. There was no one where you're like, oh, it is, the ex-boyfriend, or it is the couple who are, the cheating wife and his best friend. Like they never really gave you anybody who you're like really convinced. And it was funny because, like you said, I think I did the same exact thing as you because I totally remembered the beginning. Then I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't seen this in a while. And so I must have done exactly what you did too, where I started watching it and then got distracted and did something else.
Oh.
But I had the moment where all of a sudden I'm like, I thought I knew it was her, but then I'm like, well, or wait, is it Lachlan? So I guess maybe I just talked
Mm.
myself out of it where I did have the thing. I'm like, no, it's not Lachlan. So perhaps if I hadn't seen it and I knew it was her, but once again, they only hinted at it. They didn't really drive it that it was Lachlan as being, oh, he is the bad guy. So that was for me. Is a great twist. I would have just liked to see a little more, sorry, word of the day, herring. I would like to have seen a little more of the red herrings in there.
Well, romance roundup. Again, I think the tension, you can still feel it build, especially when Travis learns, oh, that's her ex-boyfriend, and then he kind of feels like, okay, I better for sure come up there and just see what's happening. And even like Amy with his partner, you still have some like weird dynamics of like, should I be jealous of them? Or,
Right.
she knows him, but she knows him from a different stage of his life. And so that was kind of, I think, thrown in to maybe keep us off the scent of needing a first kiss in this movie. But you could have easily had a first kiss, I think, happen at the end of this movie. The way that they had kind of built everything up. But oh well. I know it's coming. So what do you got?
So I have a question for you. While we liked it that Travis got in the car and drove on up with Graham because he was feeling that little pang of jealousy, and he's asking Holly at the coffee shop, which by the way, I never remember, like when I was thinking about it, and we obviously watching it again, I never remember Holly having this much of a role in it. Like I never remembered that character. Also, I'm like, well, she's definitely a tertiary character. She is a character, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But my question I have for you, while we enjoyed it in Mystery 101 world, if some dude did that in real life where you went off out of town and he just showed up with your dad, would you be like, this is a little creepy?
Depends how long you've been dating them. I feel
They're
like,
not dating.
well, I mean, yes, aren't we to believe they are?
Oh,
This is where you also have those because have they technically been on a date?
no, he tried
This
getting
is
her
where
to
the
go get some
mysteries,
Vietnamese food, and she's like, nah, I'm going to go
yeah.
to work on my notes.
This is where the
So,
mysteries get a little muddy with the
yeah,
romance
like I,
because you're like, I don't know.
like
I don't
I
know.
think it would have been in the real world a little bit creepy, but like I say, we all liked it and it's needed for the story and the plot,
Yeah.
so you let it pass. But I just had that little like moment of looking at it from a real world lens, which we should never, ever, ever, ever do. The other thing was, and we talked about it way back when we did Gourmet Detective, was it's such a great device bringing in the X to create that tension, to create that conflict, get that jealousy juice, just pumping, to give them that thing to get the kiss, and they didn't do it. And they like I think I'm pretty sure, and I'm sure the Mystery 101 fans who watch it, well, they will let us know for sure. But I think it was both their exes, and they were both feeling those like pangs of jealousy. And at the end, they had that embrace where they're in like holding each other, like right there. And of course, I mean, you had the friends and family break it up, but it was right there, and it's a very intimate way. If, like I say, you're what are they? But you don't hold your buddy that way, right? So I think they're there. They just haven't, John hasn't given us the payoff that we all need of that first kiss of the two. But like you said, for all intents and purposes, they're dating.
I mean, if you think about any of the mysteries, it's hard to show that romance side of things because that's not necessarily why people are tuning into a mystery. So
Right.
you have it like slowly building, but how much do you build without going over the top and boring your audience? I think that's where I'm gonna pull it back into Murder She Wrote, but like the Seth Hazlitt and like Jessica Fletcher angle, like he was her buddy throughout the whole series. They never embraced, they never showed that they were romantically involved, but like that was her person in essence. But again, we didn't, I personally, I never needed them to be anything more than what they showed us. And so those are, I think, with any mystery, do you need more? Not always. I mean,
Well,
maybe in Hallmark world,
right.
we want that more than other places. Because obviously, Murder She Wrote, Diagnosis Murder, any of those aired on like your ABCs, NBCs, CBSs, and they don't always have that romance
Well, your
needed.
protagonist also was 150 in both of those.
That is not true at all. They were in their 50s, Eric.
Don't say that because once again, remember Jessica Fletcher is only 2 years older
I was
than
just
me.
gonna say, I was like, they're like your age, so you're insulting yourself.
Oh,
Well, what about our standout character or standout scene? I actually picked a scene, which I alluded to. So that end when Travis and Amy confront Rachel about what she did. And, if you kind of go back and watch it, you're like, wow, like she's tearing up and she has realized, yes, I did something wrong. And then even Travis kind of confronting, like, that's not our job as police officers to be the judge and the jury and to,
all right.
to murder someone, for what we presume to be the wrong things. And I really like that was a powerful, like, let's ground in his character more to show this is where he stands on things. And then just to have that opposition of what Rachel has done and maybe even her to realize, yeah, I really messed up in a horrible, horrible way, obviously, by killing people. But that's where I feel like that was a nice scene to kind of show who he is. So,
I agree with you, by the way, with Tegan Moss too, because she is always, at best a secondary
mhm.
character, but that thing you could see that transformation of her being like at first like, all right, they think it's him, whatever, I'm okay, okay, whatever, this is where I'm going. And then that realization of they got me, like she did a really, I'll agree with you, a great job there. So you had yours funny. I have a scene too. Well, actually, I have a character, but you had the end. I go all the way to the beginning, and he wasn't in it long. But Ben Wilkinson, the shady lawyer Ray Sweeney, and the reason why he's my character corner is he's been in almost every other mystery that uh, reviewed, right? He's in every series, at least some character. In Garage Sale, he's multiple times, kind of like April Telek, who comes back as different characters. He's in I think he's in like three as well in Garage Sale Mysteries, like April Telek was. And it's just, he's just one of those guys who's always in the Hallmark mystery and you can count on him. So it's just fun seeing some of those, tried and true side characters that we just get and enjoy. And so, like I said, he wasn't in it much. He opens it up, gets shot, and he's done. Once again, sorry for the spoiler for anyone who has not seen this movie, and that's every single month in a marathon. But
Well, Hallmark trivia time. So I am going to pull in Elmstead College for this one. The University of Fraser Valley in Abbotsford and Quest University in Squamish actually stood in for the fictional Elmstead College. So those were the real universities and colleges that Elmstead was filmed at. And so clearly, those would not be places I would be interested in attending.
way back in the day, I actually dated a girl from Squamish.
Really?
Yeah, I always thought it was like such a silly name, Squamish. But so I've always
Oh,
remembered Squamish. Interesting.
yeah.
Well, mine, going to your standout character, Tegan Moss. Her brother is Jesse Moss, who, as I just got through saying, Ben Wilkinson is in all the different mysteries. Jesse Moss is in all of the ones. He's Phil in Morning Show Mysteries. He was the Kyle, the guy who got killed in Cases of Mystery Lane. He was Dustin, and we just did reviewed
Oh.
Aurora Tea Garden, Reap What You Sow.
He
So
was
he's
in a garage sale. I know that because I Googled, I had to see what he looks like. And I'm like, yep, I know he was in a garage sale. He was a musician in one of the garage sales.
yep, like I say, he's been in just like we were talking about
Funny.
Ben. He's while he hasn't been in as many as Ben, who, like I say, literally I think it's been in every franchise. He has been in one. I believe he was in a morning show, or not morning show, excuse me, Murder She Baked, too.
Yeah,
So,
that's fun. Well, Hallmark and Chill. All right, I have a controversial Murder She Wrote episode. Season
ooh,
6, episode 10, Class Act. Jessica narrates the tale of a police detective sent to teach a university criminology class and challenges his students to solve a real homicide. So, Jessica, when she narrates, which is season 6, and I think maybe a little season 7,
wait, she narrates the whole season?
no, she just narrates a few episodes
Oh,
in
okay.
there. So she got tired of, filming 24 episodes a season. And so in that middle, she took a little break. And so there's probably, I don't know, maybe 8 episodes, 8 to 10, each of those seasons. And they're always ones I skip. I never watch the episode. And they're often like her friends, like Harry McGraw is in one of them. And then you had the British guy is in one. So they try to bring in the predominant lead, but some of them you're just like, because she starts the episode, she's sitting down at her Cabot Cove garden or in her home drinking some tea. And then she's like, let me tell you about my friend. And then that goes on to the episode. And so for a lot of Murder She Wrote fans, those are ones that we often skip.
I am going straight up, very easy, very obvious with crossword terminal descent because of, once again, the
For me.
AI connection. And we talked about it before, pretty bringing in the AI where it was still futuristic and everything like that. So personally, I think Terminal Descent's a better movie, which I'm going to get some hate from the Mystery 101 fans. I thought Terminal Descent was really strong, but
I would agree. I would
whereas
agree.
this one I thought was just
I liked
really
both,
good. Yeah,
but yeah.
I thought this one was definitely good, but I think Terminal Descent was really
And
strong.
wasn't Laughlin in that
He
one
was
too?
in that too. Yep. He was
You
the
need
guy who
AI.
he
Call
gets killed,
Laughlin.
and he's the guy who
That's what in the
gets
elevator.
killed.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, want to talk about someone who's in a ton of movies, Lachlan.
Another guy.
I think he's
Yes.
in like 1,800 movie credits
Oh.
or something like that. That is a working actor.
Well, next week we finally get to review something new. We have the Hannah Swenson Pie to Die For. So it will be airing this week, this Sunday. Now they moved it back to Sundays, and I believe on the Hallmark Channel and Hallmark Mystery.
Oh, is it on
Is
Hallmark
that
Mystery?
correct?
I thought it
Or
was
are they
just
just doing
Hallmark.
Hallmark Channel? Why would they do that then? They're not going to air it on the Mystery?
That's how it
What?
was presented. Now, granted, was that just something that because they seem to be making these little things where they overlook things? I don't
Interesting.
know, but that's
Okay.
how it was set up
Well, yeah, on the app actually it just says Hallmark Channel, not Mystery, which again, that is a mystery. Why would you not air it on both? I don't know.
because of
Maybe
our
it eats into
conspiracy.
their I bet maybe it would eat into their ratings if they actually aired it on both channels, because then you're gonna have people who would watch it on Mystery, and then that's gonna dim down the actual ratings. So maybe they want it all on one channel, which that would make sense. So at least we get something new. I'm excited. We'll review that next week. Everyone enjoy that. We're gonna have to record on different. Look at
Uh,
us, because that's on
oh,
a Sunday night.
it is.
We usually record on Sundays, so we're gonna have to switch that.
Wow. Thank you, Hallmark, for screwing up our whole schedule.
Well, I'm around because I'm a lot of solo parenting days, so I'll be here.
I just looked up the Hallmark Mystery schedule and confirmed it is not
On
going to
Mystery.
be
All
airing.
right.
Instead, we are getting some Taylor Cole on. They're doing the Christmas movies. So we're getting either A Reason for the Season, which you enjoyed, Megan Ori, or Long Lost Christmas, which I
I
enjoyed with Taylor
I
Cole.
did not like A Reason for the Season.
I thought that was the one you did like.
I don't think
Oh no,
so.
you liked the year after.
I didn't
The
like
one
that one.
with her
Oh.
where never mind. I'm getting it
You're getting them
confused
all
with
confused.
the one where Megan Ori goes to the little
Oh,
magical town.
Yes, I loved that one.
Right. Yeah.
That
That's the one I
was
was thinking it was.
no, you liked the Taylor Cole one.
I did. Long Lost Christmas
Believe
because
in Christmas is the one I liked. That's the
I
Megan Horry one.
very much related to that movie. Oh, by the way, I did not commit any revenge homicides with my sister when I was back in
Good to know.
Michigan.
He's confessing on the podcast.
I did not. I'm confessing I did not do it.
All
Okay,
right.
well, Andrea, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark Channel.